Let's fucking go!
Yeah, this is the funky part of the show. Put out a bass beat for everybody.
Let's get down.
Let's get down and get funky. Tonight we're going to have a blowout show about going over Gen Con and talking
And
about...
not our pants this time. Not our pants. We're not blowing those out.
I know y'all missed us because we were on fire, but here we go. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. So good to see you. We had a couple weeks off. We were vacations and a couple of our
Holy shit, we're
members
starting our stream on time for once.
I know, I freaking really pushed it. So welcome everyone to the AARPG's Leftovers podcast, where we discuss gaming and gaming events. Unusual thing going tonight. I'm usually the host and co-host with Matt or whoever else comes on. Matt, for once in his life, will get interviewed because he spent a whole weekend at Gen Con, which we will get into, interviewing people and checking out the gaming scene. And he got to interact with some great people.
Eating trash out of a dumpster like a raccoon.
Yeah, it was Gen Con 24. And tonight's episode is actually called Con Job because that's what it was, because we went to the con. And Matt came up with that. He's our test subject, actually. But before we
wait a minute. Before we go on from this name, yes. I mean, I understand that they conducted a bunch of interviews in a back alley.
Yes.
That has nothing to do with the name Con Job, okay? Right?
Actually,
there's no correlation.
I swear I saw a hobo back there having some hot dog water. But I want to start by everybody, and I promised I would make more of an effort to do this, to tell everybody to like, follow, and subscribe to AARPG Podcast. If you like this, our Leftovers show, where we talk about games, gaming events, GMing, whatever we can come up with, basically. Anything but the real world is our motto, because, it's much more relaxing. Please. And, we have a merch page and all that jazz. Link to our website. We can find us links on YouTube's, all the podcast platforms, and you can get some of our cool merch because it's cool and it's merch. All right, and I want to say this: I'm still going for pods for the people. Pods for the people. Keeping it going, Chris.
Somewhere, Chris stirs.
Yes, Chris stirs. So that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to open up. So this is Gen Con 24. So it's been going on for 24 years. I'm going to touch on it. It's basically, I was going to stick this with Matt, but I'll have Matt add it because it was sort of a put him on the spot. So Gen Con is a gaming convention. It's all sorts of games. It's tabletop games like strategy games, D&D, Pathfinder, GURPS, all those too. And I think Warhammer might show up there. All sort you can think of, and it's going on. It's huge, and I'll get Matt and Nathan both went. Nathan came here tonight.
Plus indie and new games.
Yes, indie and new games. If you are somebody who likes games, this is the thing to do. I couldn't fortunately go. I also had a vacation that weekend. Tier one, we've talked about going for years, and we just haven't been able to pull it off.
I'm just poor.
I'm just poor, but it's out. It's at the same place every year, right? I believe. Where'd you go, Matt?
So it's at the Indianapolis Convention Center downtown, and like the convention center, the Lucas Oil Stadium, like 4 other. Like it is a massive network of buildings downtown that are all connected, or you have to walk to between different events. It is absolutely because it's too big for the convention center to handle.
Yes, that's interesting. So I would like to say this. So this is Matt. This is your first time for Gen Con, or is it second?
No, this is our second. My first time was last year. Nathan
right.
and I went. And so we're pros. No, we still were lost most of the time we were there. We still were like, where are we? Or we had to go from, so it was like first day in high school,
really?
Where it's like you got one class here and then you got another class across, the campus or whatever. It's just such a big event.
Tier can relate to that. Tier really can relate to that.
I absolutely can. Been to some crazy events and showing up, especially when I would go to conventions, not necessarily gaming conventions, but when I lived overseas. you go someplace. I'm like, where? I don't even know what's going on here. Where am I? But I mean, honestly, sometimes that's some of the most fun experiences I had. I mean, I went to some conventions, these sci-fi conventions, fantasy conventions, with Sean, without Sean, for years in Baltimore, Washington D.C., New York, up and down the East Coast of the U.S. And I mean, I'd been going for years, so much so that people would recognize me walking down the hallway and wave to me. I never went in the dealer's room or the vendor's room or any of the exhibitions. Like, I would just be there for the experience and the people and go to the parties. It was awesome.
Yeah. So those events which me and Tier, they were more like sci-fi related, or like if you ever done any sort of what's Gary Con? That's a good example. This would be if you've gone to a Gary Con or one of those like sci-fi related con or a horror con, like in Monroeville up here where I live, they have a big 4 times a year they have a blowout like theme convention. You get all the stars coming up here from all the B level or all like aliens and all that show up. Gen Con's unique. And what I'm going to do is try to set the stage for that, the who's have never been. And basically, I'm going to ask Matt to paint a picture of his, because he's still fresh. This is still a fresh experience for you. So paint a picture of you basically walking up the building, you and Nathan, you got your gear, because they do interviews here, and he's going to get more into that. There's a plan, guys. We do have a podcast. We're trying to network and get our name out there, but we're also trying to experience this unusual event. So Matt, take it away. Tell us what it's like walking in and your feelings and everything.
Well, so I will tell you, it is a little overwhelming, right? There are so many people there, right? And but it's kind of, I kind of joked, you walk in and there's just these lines of people for the will call, right? Waiting for their tickets to get in. There's people already have got like these pull carts. They're like drawing up. The closest thing that I've experienced to Gen Con is Disney, right? Because you've got to like map out what you're going to do and like where you're going to go and how far and what are you going to try to buy. And so I kind of was telling Nathan after like a day or so, there's a mix of like people who look like happy and they're going where they're going. And then there's like a lot of refugees, like people just, sitting on, because there's really not a lot of chairs there. So everyone just kind of finds like spots along. Sorry. There's just really not a lot of places to sit.
Sorry.
And so there's like people camped out everywhere, and any surface, any table that exists, a game appears on it. If you have people on a surface, there's a game, like, especially it's really like the board gamers. They're like any flat surface turns into some sort of adventure, right? So that's really part of it. And I don't want to take away from it, because I know there's a lot of people like myself, not big fans of crowds. So like the dealer, like the main exhibition floor, you really have to have kind of patience. It's like riding a crowded subway all day long that you never get off of, because everywhere you go down between the aisles, there's just people. And there's, like Sean said, there's so much to see. There's role-playing games, there's board games, there's card games, there's costumes, like cosplay stuff, jewelry, gaming stuff like dice, tables, right? You could buy, the guys who like make those cool. There's everything that you could think of for gaming is there. And I could tell you, we've gone there twice and we still have not felt that we have seen everything that was happening, right? The first time we went, we never even went into the stadium. This was the first year we actually went over to the Lucas Oil Stadium, and it was like, oh my God, there's like a whole nother con over here, right? Like the cons that we used to go to, like Disclave, EveCon,
Mm-hmm.
they would fit. It's like with the old pictures, like the sun and how many planets you could fit in it. That's how like Gen Con is. You just stuff a whole bunch of PAXs in there, and it could fit like 100 PAXs. But so again, good and bad. It's kind of it's a spectacle.
I kind of now want someone to go to the con and cosplay as a table, like where they, where they have those, those costumes where they transform. I just want them to transform for a little while and then just get up in the middle of a game and scare the hell out of people.
Oh yeah,
I'm alive.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
so it was it's a pretty cool event. There's also like live shows.
Yeah.
Whether it's like everything, there's all kinds of like musical acts that play there as well. So it is, I don't know.
Oh,
It's
I hadn't heard about the musical acts.
Neither
Like,
did
was
I.
big names or
Well, I don't
independents
know
or?
about, so big names. I'd say big names in these kinds of settings. So like you go to Ren Fair, you go long enough,
You see the
like the
same.
Rogues or whatever,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
one of the folks that we went and saw, we saw a variety show, and I hadn't heard of all the folks, but one of the folks that played at the variety show was Bard City, right? And if
Okay.
people do not remember, Bard City it's a fantastic sort of D&D parody band. You can watch their videos online, on YouTube, where they have like one of my favorite is their like level 3 party bursts into a room of a beholder song, and it's just them all going, I'm on fire,
Yeah.
So, but they're the ones who let us use their song, Are We the Bad Guys, as our
Yes.
closing
Yeah, that
music
was
for
awesome.
Sex, Drugs, and Saving Throws. So that was really cool. So that's the kind of stuff you see in events, and kind of like the Ren Fair, you actually have also like people just out who are performing. Jugglers, musicians are right
That
there
is
out in the
interesting.
open floor, and you can just walk by and they're performing. So
I have not
it's
seen it at a con like that.
I
That's-
didn't check. I didn't check. Do you guys know who Jack the Whipper is? Jack the
Sounds
I do
Whipper.
familiar.
not.
So he does the Ren Fair circuit. He's also a big gamer and streamer, game streamer. He does charity stuff. He's on with Maisie Lynn. I know that they did a big stream together and stuff like. I didn't see if he went, but
He's
that
a
would have been a name
circus
to
performer?
catch up. Yeah, he does the Maryland Fair.
Yeah, so
He's
familiar.
he's a great whip cracker and just all around general good human being as I understand it. I don't know him personally.
There's probably some crossover, right? So I mean, the other musicians that I saw that were playing in that show who I didn't know, they clearly could have been. I could have been in a Ren Fair show, and it would have been them, right? Like they're playing like Irish drinking songs and stuff like that. So, yeah, there's everything. We also got to see sort of just the biggest name. What just happened?
Dorcas is talking about the annoying guy playing the pan flute around every corner. Always Sam Fear
That's what I put up.
playing the pan flute everywhere he went.
He was just following you. Matt paid him to follow you.
That would be an interesting curse. Is you give you're cursed with a magical bard, but you hate their music.
It's Zamfir. Young Zamfir, like the healthy Greek, looks better than you. You're like, God, I hate this guy. All the women go running to him. Yeah.
I gave Malcolm a bluegrass band.
Oh yeah. Jesus, that would be perfect. He'd give me new age. I'd be like, oh. So let me pick up on this. This line of questioning we're doing right now.
Wait a minute.
you got
Before
something
we do
else?
that, Sean,
Okay,
let's
sure.
just there's a couple of people on or whatever. Just remind people, hey, we're streaming live on the YouTube channel tonight. We're really close to 1,000 followers, and so if people could go and subscribe, encourage a couple.
Yes.
We'd really like to get over that 1,000 mark. Would be a nice thing. Maybe we'll do a party. Actually, I got a bag full of dice I could give away.
We could
that
actually.
I got from Dice Envy. I bought a bunch of their random gift assortments, and I'm happy to give them away. Or maybe some merch or something like that. Maybe we'll do that when we get to 1,000.
So you know
hold
what?
you
We
that,
get
yeah.
1,000 episodes. We'll put a poll out, and we'll pick 4 games that we never all want to do, and whatever one they pick, we got to do. All right, we got to
great.
suffer a little bit for our fans, and that'll
We're
probably
playing. We're playing Harn. That's it.
Oh, hard.
I
Oh God, why did we think it'll be like 15 live episodes later? We're still,
died in
Thank
character
God.
creation.
I've died 6 times. I still haven't rolled the dice in a fight yet.
Harn is the Oregon Trail of role playing games.
You're probably right.
No, I mean you could get diseases and die from cutting yourself on a rusty fork. You can die in character creation.
Yeah.
It is the Oregon Trail of role
I love
playing
games where you get maimed in character creation. You start out with freaking or like if was it the Twilight's like that. You can die in character creation. But anyway, let's finish our con job part of this interview. So you did a bunch of interviews. You and Nathan were like beating feet and just interviewing. Every time I looked up, I see now there's another. Nathan's posting another interview. Um,
Yep.
so
Yep.
how?
This was
Who did you
definitely a
interview? Who?
working, so this was definitely a working trip, right? And so we were pretty exhausted every day by the end of the day. And that's the benefit you get, I guess, for Gen Con was nice enough to let us go with a press pass. So we met a ton of people. So I'm just going to kind of run down some of the folks we met. Uh, and then there's a few folks who I'm going to mention who I can't remember their name right now, and I apologize. So right off the bat, so our first person, or not our first person we met with, but we met with Thomas Harrison from Free League, who
Okay.
maybe you've seen that video. It's like every time we do a video with Thomas, it's like goes like crazy. So that's out there. We went to the Free League sort of showcase where they had a panel to talk about all the things that are coming out, all the stuff they're working on. And Thomas was nice enough to talk with us afterwards a little bit more about the new Alien 2.0 that's going to be coming out sometime in the future, and just a whole bunch of other stuff on Free League. We met with Mike Manson, who is from Chaosium. They've also been really great to us. He is the one who just authored their Cthulhu by Gaslight. And it was
Oh
a
yeah, I
very
want to play that.
compelling, it was a very compelling description of this sort of kind of switching up the era that it's set in. And so I'm looking forward to taking the plastic off of this and digging in to this game. And then we met with Brian Holland, who's sort of the call it Nathan knows, sort of like the press person for Chaosium, and he talked to us about Pendragon, right?
Okay.
The Arthurian game. And
Yeah,
what's
it's
super
come
cool
up
about
before in our
that, you guys know you got to hit
conversations, yeah.
Nathan up, tell him to bring it for Geek Weekend, because they were nice to give us a copy of both, I think, the player's guide and the rule book. So we've got that. So we're going to take a look at that too, because that's a great setting. We spoke to Paizo. We spoke to both Luis, who's the director of Pathfinder, and Thurston, who last year was the director for Starfinder, and now he's been like promoted up. He's like it's like the associate director, or whatever. So he's like moving up. But they were talking to us about some of the new release stuff for Pathfinder. That's the one I think that Nathan released this morning.
Yes, you did.
So
You released the Pathfinder one.
Yep, yep.
Which
So
will be
that one's
interesting.
there. So we still have the Cthulhu by Gaslight, the Pendragon, and what was kind of cool is after we talked to the folks, Brian at Chaosium, he took us over. They were running play testing, or not really play testing, but they were running the game, and they had a sort of one of those conference halls that was rented out just for this particular game, and the outside of it was all done. It's supposed to be like a New Year's Eve party. And they
Yeah.
actually had an actor and an actress, which you'll see in some of our photos, kind of dressed in like that 1920s kind of speakeasy kind of clothes.
Hey,
What
buddy,
was
buddy, what's going on
cool, and
there?
then everyone inside is playing. What was interesting, what they did is that over the course of the weekend, the actor and the actress changed. Not they were the same people, but like when we interviewed them on the second day, they had little lesions on their skin and stuff like
Ooh,
that. And by like the
yeah.
last day, they'd completely, because like the idea is that over the course of the weekend, the power of Cthulhu and all that stuff is
It's
like
corrupting them.
corrupting them. And so,
It's either that or monkeypox, one of the two. I mean, just
right.
mpox. Sorry, mpox is the correct name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so
a
so
new strain
that
of
was a very
COVID that's
cool
going
thing
around.
they did for folks to have, and they, everybody working it was all dressed sort of in the period piece, but like those two, they kind of changed over the course of the weekend to show like the corruption, and stuff like that. So
That's
That's a good
neat.
gimmick.
I like that.
yeah,
That's actually that's like really subtle, but and really for the people who are there for the weekend, where they could
right,
Oh
because you
see the
yeah.
might not notice
change
it,
and
right? Yeah,
No,
well, some
that's
people come for the day, like they do day pass, so for the diehards and people really interested, I think that's a really neat feature.
I don't know if I could do just a day pass for that because it's so big. Like you said, Matt. I think just knowing what I know, um,
yeah.
they are
It's
you know, and the other piece is for our perspective is, so when we started this, Free League was like getting their footing, and you know they're throwing us stuff. Remember the refer to table triple X. We had the not the alpha version, not the beta version. We had this version of the the game they gave us, which was was it Twilight or Aliens?
Twilight 2000.
Yeah. And they are up and coming. They're just keep plugging away with good games. So I look at them as an up and coming power in the system. And then you got to talk to people that have sort of Colosseum, if I pronounce that, or Chaosium, is that it? Who are just, they've been there, they've sort of established themselves a bit. Then you got Pathfinder, who's been around for a while. Pazio, who's basically trying to, they're just chipping away at the fucking D&D crowd because.
Well, I mean, they have a huge following though. Like with Pathfinder. Yeah. I mean,
like Starfinder are huge. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But
they are. It's an interesting. We've talked sort of. There's still a huge gap, right, between sort of the Dungeons and Dragons, right, and like everybody else. But there's, and again, it's tough for me because I know there's a lot of stuff going on with Hasbro that people aren't very happy with. And we're not even going to delve into any of that. We didn't participate in any of the D&D things. It wasn't really by choice. It didn't schedule out. We forgot every morning to try to register for a free book. It wasn't really on our radar. I've talked to some people in and out, outside of the sort of the podcasting on it, but there is an ecosystem out there, right? So there's kind of, you look at like Chaosium, Paizo, and Free League as kind of an ecosystem of themselves, and then around them, there's literally hundreds of other game producers, writers, and stuff like that, and so it's kind of overwhelming, but it's also good. There's always, if you like D&D, play D&D. If you don't have to feel bad. Or if you thought you want to try something else, there's so many other games. And kind of with that, so I know this is going to take forever. We also talked to Gareth Hannerham. He's from Pelgrave Press. I'm hoping I'm probably butchering some of this, but he's the one who wrote for One Ring. He just did the Moria Through the Doors of Durin expansion for One Ring. I know.
Oh yeah, that sounds exciting. I heard a little bit about that.
Yep, that was a very good interview. And kind of going back to what you said, Sean, about Free League. So not in our interview. I'll give you guys a little extra for watching the live show. Ooh. So when the interview was done, I asked Thomas a question that I didn't know, I was like, well, and I asked him, I said, hey, you guys have gobbled up like these amazing IPs, right? Just in the time that we've been playing their games, right? Alien, Blade Runner, Walking Dead, right? They've got all these, I'm like, hey, have you guys like sat around in a room and gone, holy shit, we've got so much stuff, what's our plan? And what he said is that it was interesting is he acknowledged that yes, they've kind of realized like, holy crap, like we've expanded this franchise and we've got these great titles. And so he did say they are balancing this concept of, you don't want to just keep expanding and adding titles and then leaving these other great franchises kind of to wither, right? So they really do want to focus on their current game systems. And so that was good to hear. But it's also kind of good to hear that they're kind of going through these growing pains because they've been so successful, right? It's this kind of balance between, picking up another great IP and maybe not supporting one of these other ones. So that they've got a challenge for them, and we'll see how they do.
No, I think they'll do great. They make a good product. Jesus Christ, we keep trying to play everything. So it's like, then we get stuck, like our Dragonbane art, for example, is taking us a while. And it's good.
It's really good, though.
The problem is it's all good stuff. We play these good games, and then we try and get back to them. But let me continue. Let's stay on the con job for a little longer.
All right. Well, I gotta tell you, I wish I was done, but I'm not.
No, you're not. No. Because I want to get on to the game. Unless you
let me just hit one more, right?
Because if you have more interviews to add them real quick.
Yep. Matt Forbeck was the writer of the Marvel RPG game, which you guys, as I understand, were in another show that did a
with
playtest for this, right?
Rolling
Yes.
Across the Pond. Yeah, we
Rolling Across the Pond.
we guest starred in one of their side adventures, and it was fun. It was a super fun
Yes, it
game. I
was.
love that.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was
go check it
myself.
out on their website if or on their on Spotify. I had a lot of fun doing it.
They were
You
good
can
folks,
also
and
get the
it was
audio
myself.
only on YouTube as well.
Yeah, we
So
got
it's there
three
as well.
people that did it. It was me, Tier here, and Malcolm. And the most effective character, I think, was Malcolm's character, who was the least.
Was that Iceman?
That was me.
Who was Iceman?
I played
So
it.
you're Iceman.
I played Iceman.
Yeah,
No,
Nathan
I played the
did talk
Ghost
to him
Rider,
about
Spirit of
Iceman being
Vengeance, and I
overpowered.
did nothing. And
He wasn't overpowered. I just stunted it really well because he was only a level. So there's like 5 levels.
Yeah.
Like where in the new game, and Iceman is only rated at 4.
That was
But
high.
but with a good GM and with
Yes.
some like creative role playing, because I mean technically on paper there was only so much I could do, but like role playing wise, we were playing the Chitauri invasion of New York, except with different people, different superheroes, not the Avengers. So I was Iceman, and Sean was Ghost Rider, and we had Quicksilver, and we had Scarlet Witch, and we had Hellcat.
Hellcat was Malcolm.
Malcolm's character. But so we're you remember when the big beasts are coming down, the Leviathans. So
From the movie or from your game?
yeah, in the movie, because we were playing the Battle of New York.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just with our characters. So at one point I flew into the maw of the Leviathan and just did a giant ice. It just created a giant ice explosion inside and killed it from the inside out. So I took this thing, it took these things down in like 2 turns. And I was like, oh, it's great. That's so overpowered. I'm like, no, I just did a really creative use of my powers because, it's a great way to, like if you mix role playing and the rule system in and you're inventive, you can do anything. I read comics. I read comics since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So, I know what comics would do. Like that particular scene, I was like, oh, Spawn did that. You teleported inside a demon and burst his way out. I'm like, yeah, this is exactly like that. In fact, I came out and said, I saw that in a movie once, and went on. So really fun game, and surprisingly, once you got it down, easy to use.
Yeah, we had a good time. Getting the characters together was easy. The people we played with were amazing. It was a nice get together for people who didn't know each other's style or anything. I thought we had a good adventure, and the games master did not know what to expect, obviously, with us, but but it worked out, and they did a good job. So I thought that was great. So Matt, with that, you played some games too, didn't you?
We did, yeah, and I just I know it drives Sean crazy tonight, but wait, there's more.
You know what? I'm going to mute you, and I'm going to let you talk about the con.
Look,
no, I thought I thought you were done. You got more.
This was so busy. So I just real quick, and this is where I want to apologize because I don't remember the names right off the bat, and in our calendar it just has like initials. So we did do a couple of quick interviews with the folks who do the Robotech Reconstruction board game and the new Robotech role playing game. So we'll have those out as well. Again, I apologize. We just have the notes. It just says SMG Robotech, right? And
I saw that. I saw that game at PAX Unplugged.
And we interviewed that gentleman at PAX Unplugged. So I think if you go back and take a look at our PAX Unplugged videos, that might be in there. But we were just doing an update.
I played the original Robotech and with Palladium. I ran it. I played it. I still have the book somewhere. I love Robotech. Love the anime.
Yep.
Well, I have a game we can play called Hobotech.
Hobotech.
It's about
and then I promise you, I promise you this will be the last. So I won't.
No.
So we will talk about. So we did something brand new on this channel, right? First ever for the AARPG. We got contacted, and so we did an interview. So it's our first interview with someone who's done a film. So we sat down with the writers, producers, directors of a movie called Empire Queen, right?
I think
And
I've seen that posted somewhere.
It's out on YouTube, and there's other places they're getting it on. They just won the Gen Con Film Festival. And again, I got very sparse notes. But so we sat down with them. We had a really great interview. They were super nice. The film reminds me of like films I used to go to see when I was a teenager at the movies, right? The kind of the campy classic sort of fantasy adventure movies. What was really cool about it was the whole movie was based on a music video that this guy made like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
That got like, over 1 million views or whatever. And it's just kind of like Eurovision kind of like song.
It's purely Euro.
It's pure Eurovision. It's cool. It's got all this fantasy, music and scenery. And that character and all of the actors and actresses from that video, he brought them back in to make this movie adaptation of it. So oh well, it was a lot of fun to watch. And so that was our, and just as a small trivia, this guy's dad is the voice of Space Ghost.
Are you serious?
Powdered Toast Man.
Powdered.
Wow! Wow!
Holy crap!
Yes.
Talking about heroes right there.
Yeah.
So Powdered Toast Man. Jeez.
So
Space Ghost Coast to Coast Space Boat.
Yeah.
Space Ghost. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so
And-
there was
yeah,
Space
sorry.
Ghost from the original. I don't know. That wasn't Hanna-Barbera. That was I forget who did. Maybe it was Hanna-Barbera.
It's probably the original Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah, but then there was the where he was Space Ghost Coast to Coast, and he was the talk show host, and I don't know if it was the same guy.
So that's a good question.
Let's spend the rest of the podcast researching that.
Right.
Everyone to the Google. George Lowe.
George
Lowe. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, so I don't think that's not the guy so that must be a different guy, right? Hold on. So I'm gonna. I guess there's a whole bunch of them. Where's this guy's name at?
George Lowe is an American voice actor and comedian from Florida who is well known for voicing the Hanna-Barbera character Space Ghost in the Space Ghost Coast to Coast and in the Brack Show.
Oh, it's him.
So.
It's Gary Owens. So it's Gary Owens. Gary Owens. So I guess like Blue Falcons had multiple people do the voices. But Gary Owens did the Laugh Olympics, 1977, Johnny Bravo's Blue Falcon in 1997, Dexter's Laboratory, 1996 Blue Falcon. And like I said, Powdered Toast Man and a bunch of others. So it's Gary Owens' son. Oh God! So this is where I wish I had my notes.
Well, I'm so glad you prepared for tonight.
I did. I actually have a whole list of things.
Hey, while you're going through that, and I'm going to ask the audience, and for something I want to talk about a little bit later in the show. Did anybody in the audience go to the live D&D premiere at Gen Con? Where they had Brandon Lee Mulligan and everybody doing the live show. Let us know if you do, and if you do, I want to send you a PM.
Orcus Dorcas says yes.
So hey, those the two names I just put up there. That's the and of course I can't spell Chris because I can't type, but it's Chris Dane Owens and Jason Schultz are the two directors, writers, for this. And it's Chris Dane Owens, whose dad, Gary Owens, that we were talking about.
Oh, he went to the event reveal. That's what Orcus Dorcas went to. Okay, well, cool. So we have a little bit of trivia and a little knowledge imparted upon us, which we'll forget in about 5 minutes because we're old.
And we tend to drink some away,
Who am I again? Okay, what games did you play?
All right, what games did we play? So we had signed.
Wait a minute,
up
I got to
for
add
all-
something, Matt. I got to cut you off. Now it's my turn. I just want to say absolutely nothing. Go ahead.
we really need a. I was thinking the other day, we need a tangent alarm. like a thing that comes up.
Well, it would just be going off constantly in our podcast. It'd just be this flashing light that wouldn't mean anything.
Segue
Right.
alert.
Segue alert. Okay. So we did get to play. We had signed up. I'd signed up for a whole bunch of stuff. And then we started getting the interviews and we just started like knocking things off our plate that we couldn't do. So there's a few things we couldn't do. The first thing we actually did get to play is we did get to play Starfinder 2.0. We got to do the society play sort of adventure. There's a couple hours. It was pretty cool. I'm planning on downloading and reading through the playtest rules for Starfinder 2. But for folks who've never played Pathfinder 2E but played Starfinder 1, the transition might be a little more jarring. But if you've played Pathfinder 2E, it's really, well, they weren't joking. Last year, Thurston, we talked to him about it, and he was like, it's just going to be the same thing. And it really is. So just a couple things that I noticed in a short amount of time that we played was big changes was in Starfinder 1.0, you had hit points and you had stamina. And you kind of take the stamina first, and they've done away with that. You just have hit points. You have more hit points, but you just have hit points. Okay. And I talked to a few people, and there's sort of mixed reviews. I think I kind of agree with the guys from No Quest, the DM guy from No Quest for the Wicked, where it's like, you get it, but the stamina was kind of like the flesh wound, right? You know,
that's Dane Miller, by the way.
Oh, yep, there you go. See,
I'm friends with those, and almost everything I know about Starfinder, I know from them and listening to their podcast. So
you got me listening. I've been listening to them. So I'm about 6 episodes in.
I am their last episode of that arc.
No spoilers.
No. It just released yesterday, and I'm saving it for this weekend.
So I will tell you, he told us it was very emotional.
Really?
Doing those. Yeah. So so what the hell was I? A senior moment. Starfinder. Oh, so right. So there's just hit points. They had 2 different kinds of armor class in Starfinder 1.0, KAC and EAC. There's just armor class now, right? A little simpler. And there was a third. Oh, the third thing is they adopted the 3 action economy that Pathfinder 2 uses, which I think is a much better than trying to remember, is this a fast action, a slow action, of this? It's just, I hop off my horse, I run over and I kick the guy in the face, right? It's 3 things I do. It's 3 actions. Maybe it's a little more complicated as a spellcaster because you've got some actions that cost 2 or can cost from 1 to 3. But those are kind of on the surface what we dealt with just a little bit of gameplay and some combat. Those are the 3 things that kind of jumped out. But it felt very natural for me, having played playing Pathfinder 2E. And I think that kind of seaming together is going to make for some interesting combinations going forward, because you could literally play a game where like people go through a portal and end up in one or the other, and it's
I'm really curious if they revamp the starship combat, because that's the part I didn't like about Starfinder was the starship combat.
That did drag. Right. That did drag.
They're working on it. So I guess apparently what they've done is, so what they're still working on is they're still working on the Technomancer, the Mechanic class. So those, we couldn't play those in the playtest. So I think they are still trying to tweak those to make those work well in this new rule set. And they also talked about they're working on starship combat. So I think that there's kind of an acknowledgement that it was hit or miss with groups, how it was implemented in the first one. So we'll see.
All right.
So yeah, that was that one. All right. So then we played, we played a game called, the name of the game was 4 Weddings and a Zombie Horde. And Nathan's like, what game system is that? And all that. I was like, I don't know, but did you see the name of this? Showed up, and it's a game called Zombie World. And it's a cooperative role-playing kind of card game. It had, I tell you, the vibe I got from it was a little bit like Fiasco, right? It's this sort of shared storytelling, except that it had more actual like game mechanics in it. So there is a facilitator, right?
Okay.
There's a person who's not who is facilitating, playing a lot of the NPCs. But it was sort of very cooperative. It's got great mechanics. It's good for both fighting the world and a lot of tension in between the different characters. And we had an excellent volunteer GM who ran it for us. And so I picked this up because I think this is probably what I'm going to run Friday night at Geek Weekend.
Definitely. I've been waiting for a good zombie game.
Oh, it was freaking amazing, and it brought the worst out of everybody. It's just what a good,
perfect. Yes, yes.
A lot of backstabbing, and
I tell you, with the games the new games that I have picked up this year, I am so excited to try one of them at Geek Weekend. But like, I can't do both. I can't run both Eldritch Automata and Eat the Reich. Like it's just so plus the other games that I want. I got Pirate Borg and whatever. I'm like, we would need a geek.
Well, that's
month.
it. We just got to do a Geek Week now instead of Geek Weekend. Fuck it.
Right, I know.
The whole week.
All right. Well, when you get that winning scratch off,
I just gotta hit the
we're
lottery.
gonna do Geek Week. Yeah. It's gonna be Under the Bridge, right?
Your hobo life. Hobo life. Mm-hmm.
You bring the hot dog water. I'll bring the cardboard box.
Watch the fly.
Orcus Dorcas put on here those brave cosplayers in the full paint and leather are the true heroes. I gotta tell you, I was at a little watering station. It was like an ice water thing. You get water, and these two
watering station like this type of water right here.
No. It was literally a big jug of ice water, free ice water. These two cosplayers came up, and they were in like these like furry sort of outfits, not furry like that. Just they were some kind of animal from something that I don't know enough about to know what it was, right? Some sort of like, Pokemon or something.
That's called anime.
Probably, right? But they were both just like, they're like just chugging water, and we kind of laughed about, it's just like, it's really hot. I thought the same thing too when they left. I'm like, good on them for because I was sweating just in a t-shirt,
I mean that's the thing, and I mean Darcy was on here saying that he works heavy road construction.
Yes.
In the summer, like the summer is hell for working outside. I used to work outside in my hands all the time doing environmental work. Sean knows this. Yeah. In the winter, you could always put something on warmer. Now they have rechargeable heating vests. They're all electric, whatever. You can always put on another layer. There's things you can do. The summer, the options to stay cool just aren't there. They have cooling vests, but they don't work as well. They only work for a small amount of time. You can shove a fan up your costume or something like that, but it's hell. It's hell.
Yeah, and there's some of those folks, and like you've always got someone you'll see come cruising by in like a giant Space Marine outfit. You're just like, it's got to be a bath in there. Right? It's just like.
He's got ice packs stuffed everywhere, or he or she, or they.
Yeah, that's actually pretty much they sell. And I remember this from doing all the work. Remember, I used to do all the hazmat work in Tyvek.
Tyvek suits, yes.
And the only thing you could do is they have chill vests. And this was back in the day. Like now there's something a little bit more modern. You can wear these chill vests where basically ice packs in a vest, but it doesn't work, and it doesn't work very long. Now that I'm on the safety side of the house, I know the regulations for OSHA and what kind of heat exposure you're allowed to have, and those cosplayers exceed it.
Yeah, that's crazy. I admire the dedication for anybody who does that, and I do know some people who do dress up as and all that stuff, like stormtroopers and everything for the whole gamut, and the passion they put into that, which I am too lazy to do, honestly, folks. I just don't want to do it.
You need a good potato suit.
A potato soup full of potato soup. That's
yes, both.
I am sad. I am sad that you didn't get a chance to go see Kaiju Big Battel a few weeks ago.
I'm so mad about that. I would have liked.
Speaking of cosplayers, do you guys know what I told Sean about this? Do you know what this is, Matt? No. Have you ever heard of it? So it is a wrestling foundation where the wrestlers dress up as kaiju. So, like giant lizards. One guy is the silver potato.
Yes.
And he's got like a potato outfit wrapped in an aluminum foil. And they're coming out and they're doing like suplexes and whatever. And they have like evil villains as their managers. And there's all storylines and arcs. I have always wanted to go see them, and I've always missed their shows. And they did a show out in Pittsburgh a few weeks ago. I was trying to convince Sean to go, but if they come to DC, I definitely got to get tickets.
I was at Penzig, so maybe next year. But it's good. It's a good show. So, any other games you have to add?
We did, yes. So we played the second edition of a game called Urban Shadows. Now, I want to say both this Zombie World and Urban Shadows were part of a set of games that were being hosted by a company that I had never heard of before. But I got to tell you, 2 for 2, they were really good. They've also got a game. So it's interesting, and Tier might like this. So this Zombie World game, they have a game like this, but you're pirates. So there's
is that a dice game or a point game or a card game?
No, this is cards.
It's all
this
cards,
is all
right? Okay.
You've got, but you do have a character sheet. You have it's so but yeah, they have a pirate version of this. They're called Magpie Games. Again,
see that kind of game. That kind of game is fun for like just a pickup game, and you don't have a lot of time to prepare and whatever. Throw that stuff down. I love games like that sometimes.
Yep.
So
Urban Shadows had a very World of Darkness feel to it, right? So it's the kind of game where, and it's very similar, where it's very narrative, very cooperative. It does use dice, but very sparingly. And so it's you play a series of weird, eclectic. You could be, I think Nathan was a girl that had drowned in a boating accident. She was like a ghost.
God.
There was a guy, you could play a vampire. I played like this I played Sean's characters. I played an old retired Irish cop, right?
Jesus.
I was probably the most like human guy in the whole group. Another guy was possessed by an insect demon. He could like turn into like a bug. It was so you're those kind of characters. You're in a world where the world doesn't really know about the supernatural, but you're someone who's kind of you're either part of that supernatural world, or like in case of my character, saw something that kind of, once you lift the veil, you notice it everywhere, right? You get drawn into this supernatural world of intrigue, and kind of just like Worlds of Darkness, there's factions and all this stuff. And what was cool about Urban Shadows, whereas the Zombie World was definitely a one shot, Urban Shadows definitely felt like a game that you play a campaign on, because you have your character, you have all this stuff going on, but then there's like, you can take city actions, faction actions, you can start your own factions. So there's definitely a grander arc in the gameplay. So that was Urban Shadows.
Put that on the
and
list.
Then we played Vast Grim.
Okay.
Which is very much like, it's just Morkborg space kind of game. And that was pretty good. And I am one who is loath to give negative comments, right? So I'm not going to give a negative comment.
Fuck that. That's my job.
I'm just going to say that for me,
that's fair.
I think there is a point where rules light becomes too light. Because if you're just asking me, what are you doing? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? And it's just kind of my decisions and my ideas based on the things I know. I want to play the character. And so one thing in Vast Grim that was I couldn't figure out, like at first I was like, well, where's my skills? Whatever, right? And there's no skill, you just have like 4 stats. And the guy running it even said that as they look to do the next version of the game, they're looking to add like another, stat. Like right now, your perception stat is used for like almost half the things you roll for. So they're going to create like a technology stat or something like that to kind of, so they almost need to rule up a little bit. But still the setting, the world, of course, is this, the awful end of the, a good Mork kind of, end of the universe. Everybody's going to be consumed by worms.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Everything's
Yeah. So, but it was fun. So that's what we played.
All right, good. So then this is actually our final con job directed question, specific for Gen Con. Did you get to hang out with any creators?
We did. I I will tell you, we hung out with a lot more people than I'm going to be able to name. And I will set the stage for.
Do you got
Nathan,
a montage you could just throw up real quick?
Nathan and I are, well, not really. I'm not even going to use those slides. It's too late.
But to say you have this PowerPoint you wanted to kill everybody with.
So I will set the stage. We went to the pre-Ennies cocktail party, right? And this was a really good thing to do. Hobnobbing, all these creators are there and all this. And I called my wife when I got there. I called her sitting there and she goes, well, what are you doing? She goes, oh, I said, oh, I'm sitting in the corner drinking a beer, talking to you. She's like, well, what's Nathan doing? I'm like, he's talking to people. She's like, you're supposed to talk to people too. Thank goodness Nathan is much more outgoing than I am, but
which is funny,
which is great because we met a lot of people, but
he knows a ton of folks.
He does. You know, it's that Reddit, right? It's the Reddit and the threads. It's where he's meeting all these folks.
Well, I mean, yeah,
he's also
it's
not
threads. It's X. It's I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how much it is Reddit for him.
He beats a social media drum about. He helps everybody with their podcast recordings.
Well, he does. So he's you know, so it was really great, and we got to meet a lot of folks, and I don't remember most of their names, but we did hang out with the folks from No Quest for the Wicked, which is a
great
Canadian group, which I had no idea. I go up to Toronto. I wish I'd known they were from Toronto. When I was up there, I was literally up there the week before Gen Con, and I had no idea. We were chatting about some of the game stores downtown. So No Quest for the Wicked, they've got a long-running Starfinder homebrew, which I know, Tyr, did you listen to? You've been listening to the whole thing, right?
I am one episode away from finishing that arc, and now I'm listening to their new actual play, which I kickstarted because of listening to them.
What's the one
that's Eldritch Automata by Gehenna Games, and it's basically kind of like a cross between Robotech and Cthulhu. No, it's real. Yes, okay. Yeah, it's awesome. It's like you're in the you're in mechs, and you're fighting demons or you're fighting demons or Seraphim, and there's all sorts of things that happen outside. You know, it messes with your mind. You know, you get too close to the demon radiation, and it affects your mind and your soul. Like, it's crazy, but it runs on the Year Zero engine, which is what we use in the Free League games.
Right.
So I'm very good. Just listening to their actual play, I'm familiar with some of the mechanics, like when they roll. There's stress dice in the game, like Aliens. So you can do that. I'm super excited about this game. I kickstarted it almost immediately after the first episode of listening. I can't wait to play it.
So, and also as a side, I don't know if you're aware or not, Tyr, they have another podcast that they do that's not TTRPG related.
What is it?
Okay. So
I'll pop that bubble. Go.
So they do another podcast called I keep forgetting. Call it Fuck Buddies. And it's like dating and sex talk and advice and stuff like that. Yeah. So
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. So
I'm on their Discord too. I'm on the damn Discord.
You must have missed that channel.
Their business card is great. It's a square. It looks like a prophylactic case for their business card for Fuck Buddies. So
yeah, it's good they're branching out.
That is a whole nother.
We need to do something
they've been
like
doing
that
for a while. So
was that
right? So we hung out with them.
We'll call it family style. No, we need to stay on this topic. Come on, go ahead, Matt.
Space docking.
We hung out with them. We hung out with them the first night we got there. So we got in late. We, by the grace of a very nice lady who worked in the press room, the press room was technically closed when we got there at like 8:30 at night, but she was in there talking to somebody. She gave us our badges, and we ran into them because they were waiting in line to get their stuff. And so we go out to this restaurant. Now, it's a place that we met up with some folks last year. It's called the Pearl Street Pizza and Grill or something like that. I can tell you this, Pearl Street is not a street. It is an alley with a little extra space to walk on. And so we get there late, we're drinking, and Nathan goes, hey, you remember that really disgusting, filthy side alley off of this alley? And we're like, yeah. He goes, well, I should interview you there. And so about midnight, we go to set up in this alley to do this, shtick, and you'll see when this comes out on video where, Nathan kind of is going to kind of like jump out like, hey man, you want to do an interview kind of thing, right? Well, we're standing there for like 5 or 10 minutes in this alley, setting up, talking about it. What are we going to do? There's nobody in this alley. And all of a sudden, pop, like a magic spell, these 2 girls appear from behind this dumpster and just walk on out of the alley past us. We're like,
okay, Matt. I think you discovered
was that an interview? You should have had that in there. You
no,
ran over.
I was not running when
I would have gone over. Like,
we were just still
talking
talking about it, and they like, no, there is some footage of some guys dumping some trash.
Totally
but these 2 girls just appeared from behind one of the dumpsters and just walked out. They were dressed nice. They just, just kind of left. So we did that interview at like midnight in the alley. And then the other folks we hung out with last year was Clash of Crits. I can't.
Yeah, Clash of Crits.
Those guys are awesome. I love hanging out with them. When I hear them talking to each other, it sounds like us talking to each other, right? These are definitely folks, they're ribbing each other.
Just went down in the toilet. Thank you. You just ruined it.
Would you?
My opinion of them's horrible. They sound like us, and
Yeah, no. So we hung out with them, and then we interviewed them in the same alley, a couple days during the day, but it was during the day.
That's
and
our theme now. We interview people in fucking shithole alleys where people piss and dump.
I gotta tell you, the only thing I regret is going to be when these interviews come out that we did from the alley. The only thing that you, as people who are watching it, will not be able to experience is you will not be able to smell this interview. These interviews were just imagine I guess what I tell Nathan, if you really want to experience it, find like an old dish rag, urinate on it, throw some food in it, vomit in it, store that box, and when the video comes out, just open it in front of you while you're listening, and you'd have the full experience that we did as we were shooting these. But no, it was great hanging out with them.
You're really selling the viewers on going to Gen Con there.
Yeah,
look,
the best part we had was in this alley. Yeah,
there was illicit sex or drugs going on, and it smelled like a trash heap's armpit. And
when
public
we got
service announcement.
We rolled this guy and took his money and bought more beer. Perfect. All right.
Well, right. It's a public service announcement. If you were traveling the streets at night at Gen Con and someone comes out of an alleyway and asks you if you'd like to step in for an interview, the answer is always yes.
Yeah. Alley Aroma. Yeah. See, we're fucked now. Alley Aroma role-playing games. This is
go.
going to be a running gag.
It's an all shambling mound goblin gelatinous cube party that we're going to play in one of our games.
Yep. It's I gotta tell you, that was fun. Well, it is funny. We got interviewed by Rascal News, and we didn't do it in an alley, but it was so busy at Gen Con we couldn't find a quiet place. We went into one of the service hallways where they the people, we went and we found some chairs in a service, like a dimly lit service hallway in the back of the convention center. And we did the interview there. So there was definitely a very off the beaten path theme for our interviews this year.
No, it sounds excellent. Sounds like you guys had a good time. You made some good contacts. You got to play some good games and interview some good people. Some who we know and some we didn't know. So that's great. We have like another minute left in this. So any closing comments from you, Matt?
Yes, I would like to say, for any frustrated GM out there who has a hard time herding the cats at their table, there's no hope. We went and saw the Glass Cannon, right? We all know, I don't know if you guys know, They're like, they're amazing, right? And an hour into their game, the guy Joe running it looked around the table and all the professional glass game. He's basically paraphrasing. He's like, God damn it. It's an hour into this show and you haven't opened up one fucking door, because they kept getting lost on tangents. They kept like abusing this one NPC, and it made me feel good to know that it never gets better, right?
It never gets better.
It doesn't matter how professional you think your gaming group is. It's always going to be chaos and herding cats, but that's part of the fun. So
yeah.
Tier, go to Gen Con.
Something? Yeah, go to Gen Con. Tier, how about you?
Oh no, I fully support that. I mean, one day maybe I'll go. I don't know. That's really big for me now. Like when I was younger, I would have done that, but now I might stick to the moderate sized cons like PAX Unplugged and a few others.
Which we
Because
put in for our press passes, and we
I-
hope that we get as
I-
many AARPG folks up
Well,
there
let
this
me
year.
know
for
when-
Pop
hey,
Club Plug.
hey, you didn't tell me. I would have put mine in too.
Oh yeah,
I'll
we are trying to go.
All right.
I gotta send.
so-
I gotta put mine in then.
Oh, well, we'll have to get it together. So, a couple things on closing, folks. One, we would like you to please, if you guys already like, follow, and subscribe us, we appreciate that. Please spread the word about our the Leftovers podcast, where we discuss these things, and of course, the main AARPGS gaming channel, which comes out every other Tuesday. I think we have one coming out next Tuesday, hopefully. We try and do this every week, these interviews or topic discussions, and we hope you join us. We're
Sean, what do we got coming up next week?
Well, next week, that's interesting. We don't know yet, but I think next week we are going to discuss maybe I'd like to discuss D&D actually,
Don't
like
you
how
know?
it's evolved.
I think we're having a senior moment here.
What? Okay.
Well, I wanted to talk about D&D at Gen Con today, but we ran out of time.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we
So
can touch on that tomorrow. Not tomorrow,
Yeah,
next Thursday, along with the evolution of it. That could be part of one of our topics because, it's been around a while and we could talk about each edition. Malcolm would be good to get in on that.
that was a question. Can you post the pods apps that you discussed?
You talking about what Matt was discussing?
No, it's in the chat. Who's Carl said, can you post the pods or apps that you discussed? Maybe at Gen Con.
Or is he talking about our live content? Oh, yes, we could add them to the comments on the YouTube vid.
Yeah.
Okay, we will add
Oh,
them-
actual plays. Actual plays.
actual plays. Yeah, we can add them to. We can put a link in the comments on YouTube for you after we get done. That'll make things. Oh, no quest for the wicked. So we'll add some comments. We'll add to our YouTube comments. That being said, I want to thank you all for joining us on this episode of The Leftovers. I want to thank Tyr for jumping on, helping me co-host, and making Matt our test subject and our interviewee for a change, which he probably appreciated after asking all those questions. Want everybody to take care of yourselves. And if you're in the area, one of these areas getting a lot of rain, try and stay dry. All right, that's it. Take care.